now are pretty much employee turnover and then revenue comparison with the same number of doctors and staff. Because certainly if you just magically add a doctor, you will have higher revenue numbers. You might not be as profitable, but you will have higher revenue numbers solely just by doing that. Our practice has been about the same size as far as number of doctors and number of support staff for the last 2.5 years, but with the same number of people, we're generating about 25% more revenue, which is huge. I mean, huge. When you talk about, 4.5 doctors cranking through revenue there. So that's been a great palpable metric for us, but also our employee turnover rate is just so low. With those weekly check-ins, we're able to kind of get that real-time feedback for, how are things going? How are you enjoying things? And I think that's been really key to catching some of the frustrations that people have before they are just so over it that they're on Indeed looking for other employment opportunities. And, right now it is difficult to hire associates. It's difficult, even worse, to hire licensed veterinary technicians for a lot of reasons. But, one of your best bets is just to make sure that you retain what you've got. That's step one.
And just kind of comparing, I mean, this is cheating because I know you from before,
right?
But comparing, like, let's say, for instance, you've always been like a very even-minded, analytical, like even-tempered, I would say. Like, whereas me, I am like high emotion, high level of excitement, but also tend to get my feelings hurt more. So is there a way that things like Aspire help approach both? Because I imagine for Randy coming in, like, it's nice to have somebody that is fairly even-tempered, sure. and less reactive, I guess would be the way. And I'm not trying to characterize you. This is purely based on 12 years ago.
Right. No. I mean, you're spot on with that. And, a lot of, the first step in leadership is learning how to lead yourself. And a lot of that is through self-awareness. So even knowing, I mean, you're even able to understand that, hey, I know these are my tendencies. My tendencies as being even-tempered is to kind of be a little bit blind to some of the feelings that someone in your predicament would have, because I don't experience that as often, right? So I'm like, what? That upset you? That, and so if I run around unaware that I can kind of have those bulldozing tendencies, I had zero intention to hurt someone's feelings, and bam, like I crushed them, and so those were some really tough lessons that I needed to learn in the early years of being a practice owner. I remember being shocked the first time someone said, "Dude, you're scary." I was like, really? I'm scary? Like, I'm a little kind of tiny sized lady. They're like, nope, you're scary. I was like, okay, I obviously have some areas that I need to grow on. In Aspire right now, where it's at, and that's a really insightful question. It is really designed to tackle some of the large, wide sweeping practice challenges. But when Randy and I kind of first formed the idea, we talked about, Aspire is really for the group setting. And I would be really interested in creating something that actually supported the individual, whether that's the individual, we need it, whether or not we're the owner of the practice or we're a staff member in the practice. So the long-term plan with Aspire is actually to create individual content. And so we may have Aspire and then I Aspire. So its own individual platform that, is a slightly different course material. Randy's content to help the individual deal with some of those unique feelings, or, if you tend to be more excitable, how do you function with that? That is usually handled more on the one-on-one coaching side of things. as opposed to the courses that we've got currently. But it is in the long-term plan to create content that is addressing exactly what you're talking about.
Well, if you need like a poster child of high anxiety and emotion
Wonderful.
and enthusiasm, you know where to turn.
Yes. Yes.
And it was interesting you were talking about gossip because we're trying to do like a newer culture initiative at my practice, and we had like our first real meeting, and we're trying to do more active learning as well as culture building. So we kind of, like half the meeting is I made a game show style quiz that everybody participated in. Like they had little groups because I have a whole bunch of introverts, and it was really fun because they got pretty competitive, and they all won rubber duckies at the end, the winning team. And then, we were talking about, envisioning our perfect practice. And what I was so proud because everybody contributed, and normally you can't get, like if there's 3 people or less, they're fine. But if there's 3 or more, like they won't talk.
Yes.
And just like you said, gossip and conflict resolution was like the first and foremost that everybody mentioned. And so my question to them was, I 100% agree. We need a better way to resolve conflict. And everyone is saying that you want someone, if they have an issue, to come to you directly. But how are you going to feel in that moment when they come to you?
Right.
And that's when everyone got silent. And I don't by any means have the answer because we're going to pick it up again next time. But it was just very interesting because everybody had this ideal of, I want them to come face to face and confront me, and we get it over with and we move on. And you say, all right, I'm going to do that. But how are you going to feel when I do that? And so we'll have to tune into Aspire to figure it out, right?
You do. And I would love to set you up like a free trial membership, because I would love for you to, since you got, what you did with your staff is actually one of our courses, which is developing a vision, a collaborative vision. And you did it so well. And that's exactly the human behavior that we see when it's handled well. We see that increased level of engagement. We see trust with all the individuals feeling that this is a safe place for me to contribute my ideas and my thoughts happen. So you're in a perfect position to pitch this up and kind of knock it out of the park with addressing conflict resolution, because at this point you've got everybody to bought in on this is something that we need to focus on, and this is really the first step in becoming the practice that we want to be, is how to address that well. And you could be in a better place to have that. So if you guys are up for it, I'd be happy to kind of give you guys free access to a subscription so you can run through that course together on maybe your next meeting. Yeah,
that would be awesome. And actually, if the staff was okay with it, we could record like staff perception before and after.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, and then you're welcome to the audio, but then I can also, we'll also show it on Vetsplaining to demonstrate, because I'm all for it. And I created like these because it was funny when I met Randy at the Petwell Summit. I was like, okay, so if I want to redo the culture, what do? Do I tell everybody we're redoing the culture? I was like, if you're going to do a diet, and he's like, all right, if it's a diet, yes, tell everyone. If it's culture, just kind of do it, subtly. And I'm like, I don't do subtle. So I tried.
Right.
But I made these binders for everybody to put like our first culture activity in. And then the front of the binder is like, those Mandalay, like the adult coloring. So it was like they could pick a cat or a dog, and it just said Independent Hill Culture, I think. So I think what actually really helped was I gave everybody access to colored pens. And I said, during the meeting, we're going to be answering these questions, we're going to be discussing, but you're welcome to color while we're doing it. And I really think, especially for the introverts, being able to like color and not have to make eye contact while they're answering actually really helped. So it was pretty cool. We got some color therapy in there too.
Nice. I really like that. Yeah, I would love to, hear the feedback from your practice participating in that, because I think you'll really, really like it. And it's also a little bit more enjoyable. I know I led this discussion with my staff, and it was just nice to have the support of not having to like drive the entire meeting content by myself. It sounds cheesy to say, the video does it for you. But I mean, it's as darn close to flying the man in front of your staff as you can imagine. The way that we wrote the script, the way that Randy engages on the video. He's very, very, very talented at being able to create the content, so that this feels very real to them. As far as him being right there talking to them about issues that are relevant in their practice.
No, that's awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. I can't wait for you guys to try it out. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. And so I gotta ask, I mean, I know we're in a female dominated profession, but I mean, you've done a lot, and we've been out about 12 years, but have you noticed that you've had certain struggles that you don't think you would have had in creating your own? I mean, you've had multiple businesses at this point, being a woman versus,
So interesting question on that. I will say that within veterinary medicine, I think it's super, I mean, nobody questions it. It's kind of expected now. I live in South Carolina. So we're a nice, it's still pretty, we're in a pretty affluent suburb of Charlotte, North Carolina, but it's technically South Carolina. And when it came to actually building the clinic and dealing with the contractors, I'd kind of be there and the contractor's like looking over my shoulder, like, where's your husband? And I'm like, no, you're looking at the person in charge of all of this. And to be honest, that aspects of practice ownership, such as that, tend to be where I get frustrated. And to a degree, I've learned to kind of play the game because, if they're shutting down because they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with her. I don't want to call with her. I don't want to talk with her about this. So I just learned to play their game. So I would say, all right, Matt, go tell the contractor X, Y, and Z. And they'd be like, yes, sir. No problem, sir. We'll make sure it gets done on time, sir. And so, because frankly, like, I just need to get stuff done. I need this clinic to be built. That's fine. They don't have to realize who's actually pulling the strings on the whole thing. But it tends to be kind of in the local side of things, the construction side of things, for sure. Haven't had much issue on the banking or the lending side. I've been able to navigate that on my own without a lot of frustrations. But I will say, like, within the veterinary space, I find it to be very welcoming. I think that that tipping point was right around when we graduated in between like 2005 and 2007, where people had to like course correct and be like, whoa, it's all pretty much girls now. You better just swallow that pill and get over it. And so now here in 2019, people are really, I don't even think they're giving it a second thought anymore. So it's a very refreshing profession in that perspective, I think. It's not a boys club anymore. There might be little pockets of it, back when we were in school, surgery was kind of still a boys club. I think a lot of that's starting to change. And practice ownership independent practice ownership is shrinking drastically by the day as practices sell more to corporate entities. But those that are left, I think those are even becoming more predominantly female owned.
And just out of curiosity, I mean, it is having your own small business. I mean, have you, I assume like people cold call you, at least different veterinary corporations, just to see if you're interested in selling.
Sure.
And I don't know, have you given any thought to that? Like, is this what you want to keep doing?
Sure. I have had a lot of reach out about that. I'm still pretty young, so I don't think I get quite as bombarded as somebody who's maybe beyond, 45 or 50 years old, because I'm still pretty young. I very, very much love the practice. I love At first, I hated this responsibility of being in charge of an environment where people are either going to love veterinary medicine or hate it.